Matchmaker Secrets, where we talk about love, dating, and relationships, and of course, matchmaking. So maybe time and again, you have heard the word which said, be authentic with yourself. And, somehow, somewhere, it resonated like, oh, okay, should I actually follow that? Or should I follow the norm? Or maybe like, I should always be catching myself because I might not be politically correct, and so there's always this correction, and we want to make sure that we're in the right path whatever you're going, and then we will correlate that with how to attract love. And so of course, our guest tonight, she's Megan Parker. She's an astrologer, intuitive guide, and Neuro Linguistic Programming Practitioner based in Vermont. Her business is called The Sacred Torch, and she specializes in helping people illuminate their path forward through self-discovery, personal transformation, and living with purpose so they can create a life they love. Woo! So hello, Megan. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes. Whatever you are describing yourself to be, this is very interesting because it seems so deep and then purposeful, together.
A little intense.
I know. So, Megan, I was just wondering, because obviously, when I was introducing the topic for today, I wanna, find out for you, what does it mean to become, your authentic self in the context of attracting love?
Well, becoming your authentic self is a journey that you want to embark on for yourself, first and foremost, because the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have in your life. And it actually sets the tone for all of the other relationships in your life. You're at your most authentic when you know who you are, what your values are, and you're acting in alignment with those values. Because authenticity actually puts you in ultimate alignment with the people and the experiences that are truly meant for you and for your highest good. And the map that we use to get to our most authentic selves is unique for everyone. And there are so many ways to discover who you really are underneath the programming of our childhood and the generational traumas. There were attachment styles, patterns, beliefs that our parents modeled for us when we were kids. And so if we're not taking the time to address those within us, inevitably we are carrying them into our relationships as adults, which can cause issues for us, right? So the first thing I would ask a client who has finding a partner as a primary goal would be, how is your self-talk? Is it positive? Is it more negative? What kind of thoughts are you thinking about regularly? And are they limiting you from pursuing what you really want in life? The way that you talk to yourself and the kind of thoughts you're having can tell you right away about the state of your relationship to yourself. And that's really important because you have to create healthy boundaries with the way that you interact with yourself, because that's what gives you a baseline to gauge the way others are treating you. And then you'll notice when someone's behavior towards you isn't in alignment with how you treat yourself. So it's really important.
Wow. So based on what you're saying, what I can hear is that you can be fake with yourself, right? Because you have
Right.
inherited all of this, it's your fake self, and then you don't want to be that anymore.
Right, exactly. So if you're resonating with that version, you're going to attract in whatever that version of you is. So you want to make sure that it's authentic, right? You want to make sure that you're being true to yourself. So, yeah.
So, how does embracing and expressing your true self contribute to attracting love in your personal relationships?
So, people act as mirrors for our own internal state. So if we're not treating ourselves properly, then that'll be reflected back to us through our relationships. And when you're standing in your authenticity and you have a healthy relationship with yourself, you're able to engage in relationships with others in an empowered way. And you can give to a relationship because you know how to give to yourself. We essentially teach people how we want to be treated. And having a clear vision of who you are means you can easily see why a person doesn't align with you and what they are and are not capable of in relationship to you. You know what to look for, and your decisions in relationship become easier to make. Because when you're standing in your authenticity, then you're at the best place energetically to attract, the kind of love that you really want in your life. And growing up, I was taught that you put other people first and you put yourself last. and you choose other people first and you hope that they choose you back. And that's not how it works. That's just not true. So for me, I had to unlearn that habit and learn how to pull all that energy back from other people into myself. And that can kind of be like an uncomfortable process when you're not used to taking care of yourself and you're used to putting all of that energy out there.
Yeah. Is there any potential risks or drawbacks in this process? Because it can be scary.
Right. There are a lot of learning curves when it comes to this whole process. When you're, I say learning curves because you're unlearning too, all of these habits and patterns and stuff. And it can be a process. So what I always recommend to people who are engaging in this type of self-work is to find a team of support, find your support people around you, kind of, and look for resources and modalities that speak to you. Do your research on what's out there. There's a ton of books about self-discovery. There's a ton of things. I take clients like it really, you want to have somebody sort of guiding you, and you want to have good people for support around you. And always remember, have patience with yourself, have grace for yourself. That's one thing that I've learned a lot too, is to be kind to myself and to just understand that we're just human beings doing the best we can with what we have. And we're just trying so hard, to get what we want out of life. So be easy on yourself is what I tell people.
Okay. All right. Yeah, understandable. Because who's gonna even forgive yourself except yourself, right?
Right.
You have to
Exactly.
be the first person to be forgiving yourself.
And right. And remember, we teach people how to treat us. So as within, so without. So we have to forgive ourselves so that we can forgive others. It's this cyclical pattern that if we're not forgiving ourselves, that's going to be reflected back out. So
So what are some common challenges people face when trying to become their authentic selves in the pursuit of love?
So you're not finding your authentic self in the pursuit of love. You're finding your authentic self and then you're pursuing love. And the way you do that is through unlearning patterns and limiting beliefs and shedding all those things that don't serve you so that you can step into your authenticity. And authenticity, it requires bravery and vulnerability and a determination to change your life when necessary and not caring what others may have to say about it. And that can be scary. And we can choose to stay stuck in patterns and relationships that aren't serving us because of fear of the unknown. But I challenge myself and I ask my clients to challenge themselves to push beyond their comfort zone and take the path less traveled, and to say no to people and things that ultimately are not in alignment with where they want to be going in their life. Because remember too, that when someone or something leaves your life, it's just making room for what is really meant for you. And it's a process that takes time, and you have to work through some deep emotions to really get to the core and center of yourself, and to get to that comfortability in that sense of who you are. But it's the bravest and most beautiful act of love and a gift that you can give yourself that I have never heard anyone regret doing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're right, because I also sometimes say that in order to meet somebody, you have to close the other door first, because it's still open. How do you expect that, other person to show up, or in you're still attached with the old relationship that you had. And it can be toxic actually when you think about it, because you're
Yeah,
still stuck with it.
right. You have to cut the cord on that. You have to step forward for sure.
Okay. All right. So, can you provide some practical tips or strategies for individuals who want to discover and embrace their authentic selves?
Yeah. So astrology really helped me understand who I am and what my soul came here to learn and experience. And it showed me my purpose as my soul intended in this life and the energies that I could use sort of as a compass, pointing me in the direction of my true north. And neurolinguistic programming empowered me to let go of limiting beliefs and repressed emotions that were no longer serving me. Those are two of the biggest modalities that I really love and use with my clients regularly. And what I do want to say about astrology that's really fun in astrology. So your natal chart is a snapshot of the celestial energies at play when you were born. It can tell you a lot about yourself, strengths, weaknesses, challenges you wanted to, overcome and learn through. And it can show you how the different how you show up in the different areas of your life. So one of my favorite parts of looking at a chart is at the north and the south node. So the nodes are orbital points around the moon, and they can tell you about your past life. and what may not have worked so well and what your soul wanted to experience then in this life. So the south node is all about where you've been, and the north node is about where your soul wants you to go. So talking to clients about their nodes is actually kind of a really eye-opening, because often we find that we come into this life playing out themes from our past lives. So for example, if someone who has their south node in Libra, which Libra is a sign of partnership, balance, diplomacy, they most likely lost their identity in partnership and in codependence, and they never got to pursue what they really wanted as an individual. So they could really come into this life, really be focused on finding a partner, because that's what feels natural to them. That's what they know. But their north node in this life would be in Aries, which is all about leadership and taking action. And so with their north node being in Aries, they're actually meant to step into a leadership role. They're meant to take on the qualities of being a leader. So it's not to say that this person wouldn't be meant to have a partner in this life. It just means that they're here to develop their sense of self and maintain that sense of self in all their relationships. So they're keeping their autonomy within their relationships, because that's what they wanted to learn. And, following our north node, it can be uncomfortable, right? Because it's not something we've done before, but it's so critical for our growth as souls and humans. And I will say too, when I've gone over the nodes with my clients, they were kind of blown away, because they're like, wow, this really is accurate to what I've experienced in my life. And of course, this explanation is very simplified, because there are a lot of other planetary placements that go into developing someone's nodal story. But, overall, that would be that's probably the most fun that I kind of like to take a look at there. But another tip, there's an exercise that I have clients do when they're looking for a partner. And I have them take out a sheet of paper, and I have them write down all of the traits that they would love in a partner, all of the ways their partner makes them feel, how they feel in the relationship, get really into it, visualize it, and just kind of write everything down. And then I have them put it away and then be the person on that list. Embody all of those traits and all those qualities, because like attracts like. You have to be the person that you want to have show up in your life. So for anybody that's wanting to have a partner, that would be the first thing I would start. Who do you really want? What kind of person do you want? So, that would be another tip.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you made me curious now, because you were saying that we already have a path. So but what comes about can you change your path somehow, because you seen it you can be in control with your own destiny?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So what it does, so your natal chart is kind of like a framework. It's a map of what your soul wanted to experience. It just kind of shows the energies that are there for you to use or not use. Mm-hmm. You certainly do not have to follow your north node. There's nothing that forces you to do that. It's just, what I find that it helps clients to do most is just to understand themselves, because a lot of times their behaviors and situations in their life, if once they know their natal chart, and they look back, they go, wow, I can see where this is kind of how I show up with these sort of qualities or those sorts of things. But we all have free will, and the natal chart is just sort of a map. And so I encourage people too, that if you aren't comfortable following your north node, or you're not comfortable with certain things, that's okay. What I always encourage people to do is just make a choice, right? To choose consciously what you want to have in your life. Don't, let programming and other things kind of run and make your decisions. You be the one being authentically running your life and making your own decisions.
Yeah, because I don't really want to marry Brad Pitt. Okay.
Well, Brad, if you're seeing this, I will. No, I'm just kidding.
So, can you tell us how can one strike a balance between being authentic and adapting to the expectations or preferences of potential partners?
Right. So this is why it's so important to know yourself before entering a partnership, because when you know yourself and you have your own life established, you will attract someone on the same vibration who is also happy and living their own life. Then you get the opportunity to have a conscious partnership where it's two fully independent people creating a new life together. The healthiest relationships are free from codependence, and they have a lot of mutual respect for their goals as individuals and then their goals as a couple. So ideally, you've both done the emotional work separately before getting into the relationship. So you know how to manage your own emotions and your triggers. And you can show up to give to each other in the relationship instead of going into it to get a need met, or even sometimes getting into situations where you're trying to save someone, so you really have to get so good at being you that a relationship is just the icing on the cake. And that's what creates that opening for a special person to come into your life, because there really is no magic pill. It's all about working on yourself and trusting in divine timing and having fun along the way. Life is about having fun and enjoying the process, even sometimes the tougher parts, because it tells us that better times are coming down the line.
Okay. All right. That's great. So, I was just wondering, in your opinion, what are some important mindsets or attitudes, someone should adopt when embarking on this path?
Yeah. So being the truest versions of ourselves requires us to show up and choose authenticity every day. It's about knowing who we are, our values, and then attracting things and relationships that are for our highest good. And know that you deserve to have beautiful and uplifting love in your life. And you deserve someone who has put in as much effort into working on themselves as you have. Turn the focus on you and create a life that you love. And the best thing we can do for ourselves is to let go and enjoy the process, like even in the more difficult moments of our journey, because that's where the most growth happens. And, find your support system, discover modalities that resonate with your truth, because I believe that when you focus on yourself, you learn the lessons that are meant for you. You step into your purpose and you live it wholeheartedly. You can achieve the greatest amount of satisfaction and authenticity in this life. And when you own your power and you exert your personal free will while also surrendering to the flow of the universe, you will see that everything works out for you in divine timing, and you are inherently worthy of everything beautiful that life has to offer.
Wow, those are big words. And so it seems like, a lot of tasks to do. So, but I'm sure like, whoever's supposed to hear this, will actually hear them and it will resonate to them. So like, for like, for those people who are not in that spirituality yet. So like, what are can you give just one tiny step that, they can start?
So I would say the first thing would be to just make an assessment of
Mm-hmm.
who you are, your likes and your dislikes. I'm a big fan of lists, as I mentioned before. So kind of make an assessment of the things in your life that you really love and the things in your life that maybe you don't love so much, whether it could be behaviors, it could be situations, it could be things like that. And so when you're doing that, then you can see where the areas of your life are that you would like to see the most growth in. And so if it's certain things around specific relationships, if it's a relationship with a parent or something like that, the next step I would say, once you've identified that, is I would use Google. I would use Google to search for, those topics, look for articles, look for books. There's a ton of resources out there, but that would be my first thing. It's somebody who wants to start making changes in their life, is have a column where these are all the great things that I love, and these are the things that I might not love so much, and I'd like to do something about them, and kind of, go from there. And then find resources, find the advice, and work, through there. Or find a practitioner or somebody that, you'd like to work with, and book a session with them, and they can kind of help guide you too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. So, for the benefit of those people who are watching tonight, I'm just like to remind you that we're always looking for professionals on the love, dating, and relationship industry, because we want to impart some knowledge to all of our audience. And of course, like if you are single and wondering how to navigate love, we want to also have you over here so we can help you. And if you are successful in your relationships, we want to hear also what's the secret behind your success. Like, I'm sure we can learn some nuggets over there. The older the couples are in their relationship, I think that's much more better as well, because like, I'm sure they have mastered that through the years of their relationships. So thank you so much again for being over here, Megan. I really appreciate your time, and then I'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.